Welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss about Bovista lycoperdon, the puffball. So this is a fungus which is proved by Hartleb. This drug has a very limited sphere of curative action. It is obtained from the globular fungus. The introduction. The common name of this Bovista is puffball. It belongs to the family Agariaceae, which is a fungi. Source: vegetable kingdom. The parts used for the preparation of medicine is a ripe Bovista. The prover, as I told you, is Hartleb and Trinks. The young puffballs are used as food in the European countries as well as in the North Americans. They are also eaten in Italy before it is ripe, and when ripe it will become blackish dust which breaks in husk with a slight noise. So only when it is ripe it is used as a food, but then what happens before ripe it is used as a food. Once it's become ripened it will become like a dust and it will have a slight noise when crushing it. They can be sliced and fried like pancakes. They are dropped as cubes in the soups, like how we eat paneer in India. So this paneer cubes we drop it in the soup. Same way they are using this Bovista, the puffball, as the cubes in the soups, or they can also be eaten raw in the salads. They have a laxative effect, so it helps in the easy digestion, but it is only in the immature condition, only when it is immature. Before it is ripe it is good. Okay, once it becomes ripe it has a poisonous properties. It should be eaten only before the development of the spores. So only when it is very ripe, before it is very ripe, a young thing, you have to consume it, but once it becomes very ripe and old it becomes very poisonous. Moving on to the toxicological effect. The puffball toxicology. The puffball has a reputation as a hemostat. So when there was a accidental toxicological proving, they got to know that the puffball has a reputation. It is well reputed as a hemostatic. What is hemostatic? The agent which is can stop the bleeding. It can cease the hemorrhage. Puffballs were commonly used to stop the bleeding of the men wounded in the battle. So when the men in the old ages they used to go on battles, when they were wounded, these women used to have these puffballs which they use as a hemostatic for the wound cleaning, for the stoppage of the wound. Okay, bleeding of the wound. If it is inhaled in large amounts, so now you're inhaling this puffball in the large amounts, the smoke from the burning fungus will cause anesthesia, and it can also cause death by respiratory failure. So with this we come to know the sphere of action of the Bovista, that it is acting upon the respiratory system, and we have the main sphere of action also on the female genital organs, abdomen, blood. As we saw, it is a hemostat. Now further slides will get to know. It has anesthetic and sleep inducing properties. So it induces sleep. When the fumes of the burning fungus are slowly inhaled, they gradually start producing the symptoms of intoxication. So it acts like a drug. They take it for the intoxication as well. They will produce the symptoms like drowsiness, insensitivity to the pain. So anesthesia, when it is given you become insensible to the pain. It can also induce vomiting, convulsions, and ultimately resulting in death. So guys, remember, we are not studying the curative action, we are studying the toxicology of this. There is evidence that the puffballs will possess the narcotic properties. They also have this narcotic property. The North Americans used to rub the spores of the puffball species on the eyelids and the cheeks of children to induce sleep. Little did they know that it's very toxic. So what the women used to do, they were not literate, they did not know the toxic effect of these puffballs. So they used to rub it on the eyes and the cheeks of the children to put them to sleep. Even the hallucinogenic effect have been reported. People also use it for hallucinations. Okay. they use it as a drug and they start having hallucinations. So what is the active principle of this Bovista? It is ergostain and lanostain. Moving on to the constitution. So let us see the constitution, the physical makeup of the Bovista. It is usually adapted to those people who suffer with acne on the cheeks, and also their lips will be swollen. They have crust in the nostrils, so you can see the swollen lips, the face filled with the acne scars. And now they're talking about a lady here. It is adapted to the old maids with the palpitations who suffer from the tetary type of eruptions. So guys, they're saying here this is adapted to the old maids. So the women who, the servants or the maids who work in the people's home, these old maids, they have a tetary type of eruption. So what is tetary, guys? It is a vascular eruption which produces intense itching, reddish vesicular eruption. You can see your kind of, this is what is tetary, okay? And then it is producing intense itching. And then they also is in this Bovista is also indicated in stammering children. So we saw that it is producing the vesicular eruptions and there is formation of the thick crust, okay? Moving on to the sphere of action, it acts on the circulation, the heart, uterus, kidneys, skin and nervous system. So we saw, guys, acting on this circulation, what does it do? It will act on the entire capillary system. It will lead to hemorrhage from the various outlets. And then we have nervous system. We saw the convulsions and all. Skin, that the tetary eruptions with the thick crust will be formed. Inflammation of the GIT can be there. And also on the skin, it can also cause the warts and the corns. Now let us move on. What is this? The sphere of action, acting on the circulation, it causes the relaxation of the capillary system. The relaxation of this capillary system will result in the hemorrhages. Now let us understand Bovista with the help of the doctrine of signature. So this is a picture of the Bovista which has been compared to a child. So here they have a bloated puffy condition of the body. You can see the abdomen being very bloated here. The puffy condition of the body, there is sense of enlargement, flatulent distension and the noisy passage of the flatus. So guys, you can clearly compare these two things here, okay? There is puffiness, enlargement, distension and the flatus is going to be noisy. Moving on to the mentals, they are very talkative. People are very talkative. Bovista is indicated for the loquacious people. They have unreserved conversations. They are better in a company. They tell the plain truth. They are revealing the secrets. They find the relief by revealing her emotions. So when they express their emotions, they tell out their pain and sorrows to other people. When they express all that, they find relief. Intolerance of restriction, both mentally and physically. So they do not like restriction. Physically or mentally somebody restrict them, they do not like it. They are swollen with emotions, like just the body being swollen. Even their emotions are swollen. They are very talkative. They express each and everything. A single visit, they are ready to share everything. Easily mingle. They mingle very easily, okay? Unreserved conversations, they are very awkward. So you can see they share the deepest secrets of their life, which we normally never even think of sharing it to the people, other people. Even our closest friends, we think before we share anything. But these people have unreserved conversation. They are very awkward in their conversation, very open hearted. She speaks regardless her very personal matter. She speaks regarding her even the very personal matters of her spouse or her personal life. She's revealing all those. She tells the plain truth. Rubric which we can use is revealing secrets. It can be considered during repetization. Now here is an example which is given. When I met a lady with a heavy fibroid bleeding, so a lady had come to the clinic with a heavy fibroid bleeding for the first time. She told everything about her sexual relationships, her attitude of changing partners. It was no problem for her to talk about those personal matters, as if it is like something everybody should know about. So guys, she was very cool, she was chill sharing all this. She was like, it's a thing which everybody needs to know. So she was okay to share her personal matters, her changing partners, all those evil things or the bad things about us we never tend to share usually with other people. But this woman is very open hearted. Bovista, open hearted, speaks regarding very personal matters. There were no proudness, no timidity. Neither she was proud, neither she was timid. She open hearted, she revealed all her secrets. She says what she thinks the truth. Hyosamus or Tarantula, they say the truth but in a very offending way. Whereas in Veratrum, the truth is about the whole world. Bovista just means the truth about oneself. So these people, they Veratin speaks about the whole world. Okay, the truth is this and that, and about the whole world they consider. Whereas this Bovista people, they tell the truth only about their oneself. Great sensitiveness, they are easily offended at everything. So you can see here the Bovistas, they are easily offended. Now you can see this picture which you can remember, and you can remember this mental forever. They are saying, your post offended me, I am going to report you. So basically when you post something, so they take it personally on them, and they feel that they have put this post to offend me, and they take it to such an extent that they have the revenge over it. Okay, they are very offended by the least things. They have a very alternating mood. They are crying and laughing, alternating. Once they are crying, the next moment they are laughing. Despair and hope, so these are alternating things. So you see, crying, laughing, despair, hope. Loss of hope, hopelessness is despair. They have lost everything, and no hope at all. They have, at once they feel like that, the next moment they're hopeful. They have great changes of color in the face. One time they are red, and the other time they are going to be pale. Moving on to the awkwardness, also it is in the movements. So we saw that awkwardness in their speech, that they are revealing the deepest secrets. Now we see another type of awkwardness is in their movements. They drop the things, stutters, etc. They misplace the words when they are in anger. So when the person is very angry, the Bovista, the anger is marked, and they displace their words during the anger. The next mental is confusion. What is the confusion? It is easily intoxicated from wine. They become intoxicated very fast from when they take wine. They have a great confusion and also absent-mindedness. It is resulting in mistakes in writing. There is dullness of the head, misapplication of the words. They cannot concentrate on what one is doing or saying. They are easily distracted. They cannot concentrate in studies. They do the misplacement of the words when they are angry. And also there are absent-minded people, great confusion. They are making mistakes when they are writing. So we can have a child into the clinic, coming up the parents with the child and saying he has a great absent-mindedness, confusion of words. They cannot concentrate. They are staring, lost in the thoughts. And also this intoxication is very soon. They have confusion. Moving on to the generalities of Bovista, chilly person. So generally Bovistas, thermals, you see, they are chilly patient. Temperament is nervous temperament, and the miasm is going to be psychosis in the background. So we didn't discuss about the miasm. So the psychosis will be the miasm, and the temperament is nervous. Thermals, they are chilly persons who are sensitive to cold. They are chilly during the pains. Much thirst. It is common to the fungus remedies. They are thirsty. They have an unquenchable thirst. The thirst is aggravated during and after menses, and aggravation is after coition. Okay. Feeling of distension. Now you see this, we read in the doctrine of signature. So they feel the head is being enlarged, the heart is enlarged, cheeks and lips as if they were swollen. They feel as if head is enlarged, as if their heart is enlarged. Cheeks and lips are swollen, cheeks as if about to burst from the heat. So the lips are become swollen and they feel as if the lips are going to burst open because of the heat. And you see the distension or the swelling, which we have been discussing many times. There is flatulent distension. The abdomen is puffed up at single spots. So you can see the puffed up abdomen at a single spot. Puffy condition of the skin can be seen. Pitting edema. So guys, you can remember this puff ball. Bovista puff ball. So the patient is very puffy. Flatulent distension, abdomen puffed, skin puffed. When there is puffiness, there can be pitting edema, intolerance of clothing around the waist. So you can see, feel like the distension. Okay, when there is an immense distension, they will have a intolerance of the clothing around the waist. There is also the swelling of the cervical glands. All the swollen parts will be very painful to touch. They have a pressing pain. You can see pressing pain, which is deep inward. The blunt instrument. So you saw this edema, the puffiness being there. So whenever the person uses this blunt instrument, which will leave a deep impression on the parts. They have a discharge which is tough, stringy, tenacious. So this tough, stringy, tenacious discharge we have seen in Kali bichromicum as well. It is seen from the nose and also from all the mucous membranes. Moving on, it has a hemorrhagic tendency. We started from the sphere of action where the Bovista acts on the capillaries, increases the capillary distension and hemorrhages. So we can see the epistaxis, the bleeding from the nose in the morning, which is slight on sneezing. They can see the epistaxis in the morning, which is quite slight, and the epistaxis is also seen on sneezing. There is bleeding of the gums. So guys, hemorrhagic diathesis. So start imagining from the nose bleeding, in the mouth the gums bleeding. There is profuse bleeding after the tooth extraction. So you saw in the mouth the gum which is bleeding. The tooth after the extraction there is bleeding. Then we have excessive hemorrhage during the climactic period, bleeding between the periods. So postmenopausal bleeding can be there. In between intermenstrual period, there can be bleeding. Menses only or chiefly at night. They are profuse in the morning or scanty during the day and the night. So we have menses which are occurring at night. They are profuse in the morning. They can also be scanty menses, which is during the day and the night. Dreams that she has a bleeding wound. So we saw it's a hemorrhagic diathesis. So the dreams she has is also of a bleeding wound. Moving on to the GIT. So from the GIT, guys, there is dryness. So we saw all the fungi are having an unquenchable thirst. They have lots of thirst. So there will be great dryness, numbness of mouth and the throat in the morning on waking. So the great dryness can be marked. So sometimes when we wake up, we have a great dry mouth and it becomes all numb. The mouth, the throat will become all numb on waking up in the morning. The tongue will seem almost like a wood. So very characteristic. You have to remember in the Bovista, they're talking about the GIT. You have to write about the great dryness which is seen in the mouth, the throat, and they can feel the tongue is like a strong wood piece. Diarrhea is seen before and during menses. So we saw all the complaints are aggravated during the menses. So we have diarrhea which is before and during menses. This Bovista is an infallible remedy in menorrhagia and also metorrhagia. Okay, when there is occasional show of blood between the periods. There is feeling of icy coldness in the stomach. So let's not go into menses. We're talking about GIT here. There will be dryness, diarrhea and icy coldness in the stomach. Moving on to the skin. What guys? What do you remember? The acne. Let's see. What's cons acne is what we remember. Now here they're saying perspiration in the axillae will smell like garlic or onion. So they have a very offensive smell from their sweat. The sweat or the perspiration is smelling like garlic or onion. They have intolerable itching at the tip of the coccyx. They scratch until it becomes very raw and sore. Acne, the acne covering the whole face, it is because of what's wrong? Okay, acne, it is covering the whole face, and it is because of the cosmetics use. Chronic red scabby eruptions on the thighs and the bends of the knees. So they have these eruptions on the thighs, the bends of the knees. It is appearing with the hot weather and with full moon. So these eruptions are appearing during the summer season and also during the full moon. Warts and corns with a violent shooting in the corns can be observed. We also have urticaria on excitement. They have urticaria. You can see the picture. The urticaria, which is seen on excitement with diarrhea. There are palpitations, rheumatic lameness or menorrhagia, aggravation, bathing or walking in the morning, when the rust seems indicated but fails to cure. So when there is urticaria, you have prescribed Rustox to the patient, but the rust fails to cure the patient, then you move on to the next drug, that is Bovista, have to be given, especially in chronic urticaria. So the skin, guys, we have perspiration smelling like garlic, acne, warts, corns, scabby eruptions, urticaria, etc. Moving on to the female. So we already know about the menses. We have read about the hemorrhages. Now let us see diarrhea, which is seen before and during menses, which you have to relate. Menses. The diarrhea which is causing a relation with the menses. Bovista. Okay, diarrhea before and during menses. Excessive hemorrhages are seen during the climaxics. There is bleeding between the periods. All these points we've already read. So the menses, it is only or chiefly seen at the night, or it is profuse in the morning, scanty during day and night. Very characteristic, which you have to remember. Menorrhagia, metorrhagia as well. Leucorrhea is acrid, corrosive, thick, tough, slimy, green. Dreams that she has a bleeding wound. So magnesium, carb and creosote, there are few characteristics here which will help in the therapeutics. So magnesium, carb and creosote, they are menses only or chiefly at night. Cactus, causticum, lilium tick will have menses only in daytime. It will cease when they are lying. So guys, CCL, cactus, causticum and lilium tick, all these three in daytime. Magnesium, carbon, creosote during night. Moving on to the modalities, it is worst during menses, full moon, getting warm, early morning, on waking up, cold food and hot weather, coffee and wine. They are better by doubling up and eating the hot food. So guys, this is the mnemonic to remember the Bovista. How can we remember this? From the B, it is seen before and during menses. So the complaints, usually the diarrhea, which is seen before and during the menses. We have nocturnal menstruation, aggravation at night. O stands for the old maids. So we saw that it is adapted to old maids who suffer with the tetany type of eruptions and also having palpitations and so on. From the V, we have a very tough, stringy, tenacious discharges from all the mucous membranes. I, intolerance of tight clothing around the waist. S, sweat in the axilla is smelling like an onion. From the T, you have to remember the tetany eruptions, which could be dry or moist eruptions, which are resulting in the crust. A is the awkwardness. They are inclined to drop things from the hand. So guys, I guess from this video you'll be able to write and answer anything what they ask from the Bovista, which with this you have to remember the most characteristic things. Thank you. With this we come to an end of the homeopathic remedy Bovista. If you like my video, please hit the